Hilly Hilly, welcome to Chukchansi language class.
Bayene mai yatache Chukchansi. We're going to all learn to speak Chukchansi. Always remember to be encouraging, and it is okay to make mistakes.
Feel free to pause the video whenever you need to think about things or respond on your own. And then also feel free to listen to this multiple times to make sure you make the most of your learning. Today's topics include learning the long and short vowel A sounds. We'll start out with some slides that give us some example words to practice along with Shauna Alexander on. Then we'll move on to a story with A sounds with Dustin Johnson. Then we'll go back to practicing listening and sorting sounds. And we'll have a dialogue practice. And last, we'll cover a mini spelling test. So today's goal is learning the difference between short vowel A and long vowel A sounds in Chukchansi. Being able to hear and differentiate the sounds is a little trickier in Chukchansi than it is in English. The short vowel A in Chukchansi says ah, and the long vowel is just held longer to say ah. Normally in English, a long vowel might have a whole new sound, but that's not the way it is in Chukchansi. They sound really close, you're just listening for the length of the sound. So being able to say them correctly is also important. Knowing the importance of not shortening the long vowel sounds when speaking is something that we're going to have to learn how to do when we're not first language speakers of Chukchansi. The tendency is to want to speak fast, and so sometimes shortening that sound happens just by trying to speak fast. So kind of just being cognizant of when you hold that sound a little bit longer is really important in these lessons. So we're going to move into our first activity, which is learning the sounds. Your slides with Shauna Alexander. So if you want to take out either if you received it digitally or if you have a copy of it, if you don't have a copy of it, you could just write them down. Just making a list of short vowel words and long vowel words. And feel free to pause it as Shauna goes through them so you can make sure you write them down and practice as much as you need.
So we are going to go over our short and long vowels, and we're going to start off with the short A and long A. I'll say the word twice and then say what the word means in English, and you can practice with me. Ah, shama, shama, mouth. Ah, gadu, gadu, cat. Ah, bow night, a bee or yellow jacket. Ah, tonnet, to go. Ah, balashta, to crawl. Ah, gowayu, horse. Ah, yata, talked. Ah, amu, boss. Ah, bao, shin. Ah, ta, there. Ah, lot, goose. Ah, tawan, town. Ah, na, I. Ah, damus, beard. Ah, wilta, to say. Ah, sabadu, shoe. Ah, bite, a child or baby. Ah, na white, cheek. Ah, wakai, wakai. River. Ah, sawmill, sawmill. Gopher. Ah, botmot, botmot. To smoke. Ah, tawanish, tawanish. Morning star. Okay, so now we're going to review some of the words from the previous slides. And some of these words you're going to see in a story coming up soon. So I'm going to let you think about the word and see if you can remember what it is. And I'll give you a few seconds, and then I'll say what the word is in Chukchansi. So guess if you can remember what this word is. Okay, so the word is mouth, shama. Okay, now see if you can remember this word. The word is bao night, bao night. Yellow jacket or bee, bao night. And write down or just say it to yourself if you remember the word. And the word for horse is gawayu, gawayu, horse. And this is the verb to crawl. So if you remember the word for crawl, go ahead and write it down or say it to yourself. And the word is balashta, balashta. And this word, this is going to be your boss. So what is the word for boss? And it's amu, amu, boss, amu. And what is the word for there? As in the direction, there. And the word is ta, ta, there. Can you guess what the word is for town? And the word for town is tawan, tawan. And this is going to be the word for eye. And that is na, na. So this is going to be the word for talk or talked. So what is this word? The word is wilta. So said, wilta. And this is a little gopher. So go ahead and say to yourself or write it down, the word for gopher. And it is sawmill, sawmill.
Thanks for practicing those sounds with us, Shauna. We're going to move on to our story with long and short vowel A sounds. It's going to be read by Dustin Johnson. See if you can pick out those words that were already reviewed by Shauna previously. Those words were in isolation, but now you're going to hear them in context.
Amuwish bao night. The bossy bee. Panata bao night. I went out. The bee arrived in the town. Yananata bao night. The bee was very quiet. Balashta bao night. Gawayu. The bee crawled onto the horse. Yata ama gawayun namin amu. He told the horse, I am your boss. Mahachag ama wilta bound night. Go as fast as you can over there. Banata gawayu ama. The horse raced there. Chalwinta gawayu baunayi. The horse became annoyed by the bee. Tanga wilta gawayu. The horse tells the bee, go away. Ta ishta baunai samila. The bee sees a gopher. Wilta baunai samila amu ta namin. He tells him, I am your boss.
Thanks, Dustin. Hopefully you guys were able to pull out some of those words that Shauna gave us in the first slides and see where they played out in the story in real conversation. Next up, we have our sounds practice. All right, we're going to be doing a sound sorting activity. So we're going to be listening to sounds that have ah for A or ah for long A. And it's going to be important to remember that the short A sound that says ah only has one A, and the long A sound that says ah has two A's. So for this part, I numbered some words for us to look at. And I'm not going to write them down because I want you to hear it, and then you can stop and repeat it after I say it, and then figure out where you want to put it. So do you want to put it under short A? We could move these numbers and put them down here, or we could move them and put it under long A. So you got to choose one or the other for each word. So we're going to have 10 words. They're all mixed up, so either one could go in either spot. So our first word is pa'ash. Pa'ash. For valley, it means valley. Pa'ash. So number one, do you want to put it under short vowel or long vowel? Pa'ash. Pa'ash. This one's going to go here. It is a short vowel word. There are actually two short vowels right next to each other, but they're separated by that glottal stop, which means that they're really shortened. Here's the next one. Number two might be a familiar word for you. Outja. Outja for fox. Outja. Outja. So think about which one you think that one should go in, short vowel or long vowel. If you guessed short vowel, you are correct. Outja has short vowel in the beginning and short vowel at the end. Number three, our third word, lasa. Lasa. And that means axe. Lasa. Lasa. And if you guessed long vowel, you're correct. Well, that does have a short vowel at the end. It has, in the beginning, two A's. The beginning vowel is la-sa. You could hear that long sound drawing out. Number four, our fourth word is dalhal. Dalhal. And that's for job or work. Dalhal. And if you guessed short vowel for this one, you would be correct. There's only short vowels, two short vowels in that one. Number five, our fifth word is going to be gambana. Gambana. That means bell. Gambana. Gambana. And you can hear that long A sound in the ba part. Gambana. So if you guessed long vowel, you are correct. Number six. Number six is abo. Abo. And that means apple. And it is a borrowed English word that we switched to Chukchansiize it. But That word was obble. Obble. And for this one, if you chose long A, you were correct. It starts out with glottal stop, of course, because no words start with a vowel, but it does have that long A sound right after that glottal stop in the beginning. Our seventh sound, our seventh word is awan. Awan. And that means boat. Awan. Awan. And if you guessed a short vowel, you were correct. Our eighth word, maamil. Maamil. That means blackberry. Maamil. Maamil. And you can hear that long vowel holding a little extra longer than a normal short vowel sound in the beginning. It does have an I in it, but that first vowel is a long vowel A. Almost done. Number 9. Adil. Adil. That means down. Adil. Adil. That's a short vowel sound. So that only leaves one spot left. Kind of giving it away where it goes, but just so we can practice hearing it. Bataga. Bataga. And that means black ant. Bataga. Bataga. You could hear that long vowel holding in the middle. All right. We're going to move on to dialogue practice. In this little skit, it'll have two people talking to each other in Chukchansi with translations. You could go back and pause it, and if you want to find someone to practice the dialogue with, it's great for giving you some go-to phrases that you might remember in the future.
Helena Mech.
Right,
Hello, friend.
thanks, guys. We're going to move on to our final activity today. It's our mini spelling test.
Please help me.
Right, thanks, guys. We're going to move on to our final activity today. It's our mini spelling test.
I'm hungry.
Right, thanks, guys. We're going to move on to our final activity today. It's our mini spelling test. Right, thanks, guys. We're going to move on to our final activity today. It's our That completes our video portions of today's learning for long and short vowel A in practice. All right, for this activity, we're going to be sorting sounds into either the long vowel or the short vowel. So we'll either be using these short vowel letters for the short vowel A or these two long vowel A letters for long vowel A. So we'll start with the words. I'm going to say the word first and tell you what it means in English, and then we will go back through and double check. If you need to, stop and pause and say the word to yourself after I say it, so you can kind of practice saying it and figuring out which set of letters to use, that's okay too. So this first one is for oak, and it's shawa. Shawa. The next one is for dig in English, and we could say wayit. Wayit in Chukchansi. For your armpit in English, we call it a luck in Chukchansi. Luck. Then we have malis. That's clover. Then we have panat. Panat is to arrive. Then that burden basket or that cone basket is called the anash. Anash. Then to gut something out, like gut a fish, is badalit. 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 Then you have your amu, your boss. Amu. So feel free to pause that if you need to go back and replay any of them. and then we'll go through and correct it together. So we have shawa, and those are both short vowel sounds. Shawa. Then you have your wayet. Wayet has two A's. Then you have your luck. That's short vowel sounds. Then you had your malis. Your clover had two A's. Panat. Those are short vowel sounds. And your anash. Anash. Those are short vowel sounds also for the bird and basket. These last ones, I put our words down here so we can grab them a little easier. So we had badalit. So that first sound is short. That middle sound is a long vowel. And the last one was amu. And you hold that for two sounds. So we're going to give it that long vowel sound. So hopefully today you got some good practice hearing and differentiating between the long and short vowel sound, ah and ah. Being able to say them correctly, and then knowing the importance of not shortening the sounds when speaking. Feel free to follow up on more learning from activities that we assign. Well, since we're done with this lesson, some activities that you could do to practice on your own. I've uploaded this GIM kit. It's a fun little game that you can play to just practice the sounds and you practice sorting them. So it's either long vowel A or short vowel A. And I threw in there some, just throw you off answers. It could be different letters in the alphabet, different vowels. So you can go in there and practice and just make sure that you know those slides really well. Then you could do well on this one. It's pretty much a review of the slide sounds. What's great about the practice in the GIM kit activity is that it gives you a chance to hear the sound over and over again. It has an audio recording for each word that we put up. So we'll practice together. I'll kind of show you how it works. Lut. So you got to pick which one of those you heard, long or short vowel A is really what you're looking for. So that was a short vowel sound. And you just accumulate points each time. The faster you the faster that you respond, the more points you get. So this one was for river. Wakai. That was short vowel sound. Bow. That was the word for shin. Bow. So that was short vowel. I was again a short vowel sound. Gawayu. If you remember, this was one that was a long vowel, and you can hear that gawayu. Actually, to give you a little clue ahead of what you're going to be getting in Chukchansi, anytime that you pretty much have a borrowed Spanish word, that second vowel is a long vowel sound. So we borrowed this word. Obviously, we didn't have horses native to the area, so the Spanish brought in, and we used that Spanish word, gawayu. That's why it has a long vowel sound. Bow night. And that was one of the main characters in our story, so that was short vowel sound. Tonic. Now, if you happen to get the word wrong, let's just pick the wrong answer because that one's a short vowel sound, but it'll just give you the incorrect. You don't get points for that one, but you can continue and keep practicing.
Sabadu.
And if some of you that have taken Spanish before and know Spanish, knows that's again a borrowed word for shoe is sabadu, and so that's a long vowel A. All right. So have fun practicing on your own, and here's that link again in case you need it. Now we're going to go over the creation story, our words from previous weeks, and also the lines in the story. So these are this week's words, and there are several verbs this time. So our first word is to dive, belit or belta. Bellet or belta. To grab, gabot, gabota, gabot, gabota. For hand, ponosh or ponosha, ponosh or ponosha. So there is that long elongated vowel in the second form of that word for hand. And they both have that ejective P in the beginning. So instead of just saying ponosh, it's ponosh. So you really got to have that ejective sound on that. To drip, choy choyat or choy choyta. To drip. Then foot, darach or darachi. Darach, darachi. And if you go to Quizlet.com or you go to the Google Classroom, you'll see a link for a quiz. It's titled Creation Story number 3 for sets of words. So you can go in there and practice those words from the last slide just to get familiar with them. So those were our target words. We're going to move on to our story. So we've already gone in depth for the first portion of the story, so I'm going to kind of go a little bit fast for this part because we've already done it in the other weeks, but just in case you're joining us, you could review that, or we'll go kind of quick over it today. So the yellow is the first week sessions lines. So we have water covered all the world. So ilik is for water. Somto is covered. It's a past tense form of the word of cover. Then hityaan, that's all or everything. And then holkiin, and that's the world. Then you have coyote is the word katyu. And amayo means and. Now they're kind of, even though they're separated, an ama by itself can be he, she, or it. When you say amayo, that means and. Koliswa is for little. And then what is a duck. Holshachon is to be sitting. And sipin is above or on top. And then ilik or ilka is water. And when we add that W, then the water is a location. So the duck is sitting on the water. So we don't have a word for on or a or the. Those aren't needed in Chukchansi. Even the word of. Then the word then is mian. Mian. Amak means the two of them, not including you. Amak. And then hun to hun is to be wondering. Hawitmi is how. You have amak again, the both of them. And then kolestal. So it's like koliswa here, except it's got the same root and the ending, the suffix changes because in this form it's a verb and this al at the end makes it so that it's like could or should. There's some like uncertainty to it. And the word na'ash goes with that. Usually na'ash is could or would or should. So when you have this ending here of al, usually na'ash is with it. Then you have ilka for water, mi'in for so or then, and then na'ash matches this wood over here, and then dulul is for hills. Tishal. So again, we have this al possible, so na'ash is with it, could or would or should. And then tishit actually means to come out. So tishal is a different form of that word. So they could eat. So khatal amak na'ash. Khatal is to could eat, like maybe eat. And then we have amak, for the both of them. So that's the first set.
Holkein the Ishantau, or Shantau Oshto, Ta Wintau Chaitash. Creation of Land, Theft of Fire, Morning Star. Translated by Honored Elder Dr. Holly Wyatt. Read by language apprentices Shauna Alexander and Dustin Calhoun Johnson.
Ilik somto hidyaan holgiin. Water covered all the world. Kahu ama yo koliswa what halshachon sippin ilkau. Coyote and Little Duck were sitting above the water. Me and the mak hontachon hawit me amak nash kolesta ilka. They wondered how they could reduce the water. Me and naash dulu tishal, so the hills would show. Chatal lamak naash, so they could eat.
So the green is for the second session sentences that we went over. So Mitch is for very, like Mitch Gais, very good. So Mitch goes to very. Illik is water. So it's kind of weird that it says very water, deep, but we could make words out of order in Chukchansi and it still makes sense. So wa'a is deep. Chuyu, da, so holgi, the land. Adlin was underneath. We don't need a word for was because everything else is in past tense, so it tells us that we don't need the word for was. Then you have coyote, katyu. Jawan directly translates to strong. And then chipne, it could be like spirit or like it's like supernatural. It doesn't exactly fully translate to one specific word. So in the story, it also says that Coyote could be a supernatural, like he's got amazing abilities or a strong spirit. So then is mi'in. When you have ama with a word directly after it, it's trying to say that coyote. So ama kayu, that coyote. Ched machon was thinking. Doshe not mi'in. So doshe is to tell. Na is I. And mi'in is then. So it does seem like those words got mixed up, but in Chukchansi, that's okay. And then what-i is duck. And we'll go over why there's two forms of these words coming up in a lesson. Machka is to get. You're telling someone to get. When you see this GA at the end, that's called a command form. So he's telling him to do it. So he's definitely being his boss, his amu. Machka shukshuya. So get the sand. Adlin, under. Ilkau, the water. Then, so mi'in. Ama, he. And remember, ama could be he or she or it. So in this case, it's he. Dosh told. What-i, duck. Belka. And this is dive, but it's in the command form. It's again like that GA telling him to do it.
Mitch ilik wa chuyuta holgi adlin. The water was deep. There was land beneath it. Kahu jawan chipne. Coyote had supernatural power. Mian nama kayu chedmachon doshe na mian what e machka shukshuya adlin ilka. Coyote was thinking, I will tell Duck, get sand from under the water. Mian nama dosto what e belga mian what bel.
So here's our last session, our last section that we'll go through today. And it kind of is weird because when we're going over the sentences, we had then duck dived in the water, and then the video kind of put that together in the last section. So me and what? So then duck, belta. So that's a word of the week. Dive, adlin, under, ilkau, the water. Then me and what? Duck, gabota. That's our word of the week. Grabbed. So past tense to grab. Then we don't really need a word exactly for the word some, so that doesn't translate directly. And then even though it says earth here, we know that they were talking about the sand. So we use the word chukshuya. And then we have amin, his. And instead of claws, because a duck is actually talking about his feet coming up with it, right? So dadachiu, in his hands or in his feet. Because duck just have feet. And then du ponosh, ne. just like hands. Ponosh is your hands. And ne is a lot like the word like similar. Mi'in then, tisham, tishmasham. So he came up. So tishka is to come out. So this is another form. It has the same root. So he came up, out, and then ilkau, of the water. But we don't need to directly translate of and the. We just need water as a location. Then shukshoy, the sand. Choy choita is to drip in the past tense. Amen, his. Pono shao. And again, it's just like the word hands we had here, except for hands is a location. It's dripping from his hands. So we add that W on there. Mi'in, panata. So then he arrived. And we put he got. Well, the translation in English was he got, but he arrived, sipin ilkau, above the water. So he like came up out of the water. Then we have koliswa, little. Shukshoy, which is sand. Joto is to stay or remain. So a little sand stayed. Adlin, under. Shechau, under his fingernails. And that's a really cool word to practice as your challenge word. It has two X's in it, so a lot of glottal sounds in that. So shechau for fingernails. That's where we'll stop this week.
Miin what gaabota shukshuya amin dadachu du ponoshne. Duck grabbed some earth in his claws like hands. Miin tishmasham ilkau shukshui chui chuita amin ponoshau. But as he came up, the sand fell out of his hands. Miin panata sipin ilkau koliswa shukshui choto adlin cheshachau. When he reached the surface, there was only a little sand left under his fingernails.
So the red line shows where we're going to stop and pause the story and save that for the remainder of the weeks. But if you want to pause and read through the remainder of the story just to get a little more familiar with it, you're welcome to do that. And here's the rest of the story to the end. Yahoo! Gee, we're halfway through now. So we're going to move on to the sounds for E, letter E. And we're going to be doing pretty much the same thing we did for letter A, learning the sounds, practicing sorting sounds. We'll listen to a story with lots of E words, and then have a dialogue practice and a little spelling test. But we don't have to add to any more stories, so it will go by a little faster. And just to keep it fresh in your brain, the sounds that match the vowels are A, E, O, U. A, E, O, U. And try to repeat that a couple times. So when you get to the E, A, E. So that sound is what we're going to be focusing on for these next slides. If you have access to Google Classroom, you can access this letter E vowel recording sheet. Or if you're at home and you don't have access, you could just grab a piece of paper, draw a line down the middle. So you have a short vowel side to list the words that are in the slides ahead. And then on the right side, you could list all the long vowel sounds for E. So we have short vowel that'll be eh, long vowel that'll be eh. So it just holds it a little longer. So we're going to start out with our short vowel sound for eh, kape, and that's for coffee. Then our long vowel sound for E, checha. Here's our next set of words. So for log or wood, we have the word hedesh. And then our long vowel E for this one is the word for woman, mokela. Something interesting about that is lots of times when we have the subject form of a word and it ends in an A, it has a glottal stop at the end, but this is one of the only words that is in subject form, ends in an A, and it doesn't have a glottal stop, so kind of interesting. Short vowel E for bunny, like a little cottontail rabbit. Toe. And then our long vowel E sound, shepherd, shepherd, and that's to write. Our short vowel E sound for this next one is ch-a, ch-a. And then our word for ant is canich, canich. Our short vowel sound for this one for back is kewet, kewet. It almost sounds like carrot, but kewet. That's for your back. And then the word for a flower is elau, elau. The short vowel E word for scissors is dehil, dehil. And then our long vowel E is estegi, estegi for bus. Our short vowel E on this one is tesich, tesich for door. And then to walk, the verb to walk is hewetet, hewetet. Our last slide for short vowel E, et, to do something, et. And then to become angry for our long vowel sound is holelat, holelat. So those were our sounds for E, short and long vowels. And now we're going to practice sorting them. This activity can be found in the Google Classroom if you want to do it on your own. We have it here in the video though. So our first word, you're going to either sort it to the short E, eh, or the long E, eh. So it holds it a little bit longer. Our first word, number 1, is for the word for an all. So it's well, well. And I'll save showing the answers to the end so you could try it yourself first. So our second word, number 2, it means to be like that. So helnet, helnet. Our third word is the word for a cooking basket, and it's tewish, tewish. Our fourth word, our Hatbanai word, is the word for bead, and it's bekewa, bekewa. So this is number 5, and it's the word to do in Chukchansi. So it's et, et. For our 6th word, we have the word for cedar, the tree, a cedar tree. So chep and chep and. So the next word we have for number 7, it means to go first. It could also mean to lead. So teta, teta. And our last word, our monosh word for number 8, it's galleda, galleda. And that means a cookie. So here's the review of the correct answers. You could check your work and see if you got them. Some of these words, they have a Y next to the vowel too, and so you have to listen really carefully because sometimes you'll think it might be a long vowel, but it has that Y sound to it. It actually is a short vowel. But if you have any questions, you can go to the Google Classroom and put any comments you have about this activity. And moving on to my favorite part of teaching the vowels is our stories, our silly little stories with the E sounds, short and long vowel. This story is Rabbit and Dog Went to School. So Tanet tel amayo checha lelahia. So Tanet is to go, and tel is the rabbit. Amayo is the word for and. Checha is a dog, and then lelahia is school in object form. Rabbit and dog rode the bus to school. Shetgenet tel amayo checha estegiin lilahia. They walked on the path to their teacher. So hewetit aman peli lele laichu. Hewetit is to walk, aman is they, peli is a path or a road, and then lele laich is a teacher. But if you're going to the teacher, you're going to add that W at the end, so it turns into lele laichu. The teacher said, "Rabbit and dog, go inside." Eshnit lele laich tel amayo checha. Tel shepet. Rabbit wrote. Dog got scissors. Et checha de hela. He put them on his lap. Ama kepene. And kepene is a verb to put something on your lap. Dog was angry at the paper. Holela checha bobela. Dog tears the paper. Sepet ama Jelich leleich wilta lelelech. Students, let's eat lunch, said the teacher. Jelit amak. Hecha amak. They ate lunch, they got fat. So I hope you enjoyed that silly little E sound story. We're going to move on to the last thing we're going to do, and it's the mini spelling test. So you're going to figure out if the missing letter is a long vowel E or a short vowel E in each missing spot. So our first word is for grinding rock. Danelle. Danelle. Our next word, missing just one set there, or one letter. Yet. It's for the number 1. Yet. So we have two missing spaces here that you need to decide, are they long or short. Jewewat, to lie down. Jewewat. Then to measure something. Kelat. Kelat. Then a spur. Sepiula. Sepiula. The next one, to scrape something. Lots of times we scrape sticks, but we couldn't find a good picture of scraping sticks, so then I think they're scraping paint. And that's hepit. Hepit. Next one is the word for fat. Hecha. Hecha. And the last word has 2 sounds you need to figure out. So lelit. Lelit. And you can check your work here and see how you did. Hi, kid, it's Mike. We've finished this lesson, so we learned our A sounds and our E sounds. Mitch Gais, thank you for staying with us for this lesson.